Hello everyone. Strap in because this is one for the fucking books. I recently watched a video that was titled Exposing the Music Industry, but then you start the video and it's a documentary called Homosexuality in the Rap Industry. And then the video goes on to talk about like forced feminization, sexual assault, and homosexual representation in some ways, and like forced homosexuality in another way. Um, in specifically in rap, comedy, and TV amongst black people, mostly black men. Um, I suggest watching it for yourself for the sake of the source material of what I'm going to be talking about. But as someone who is black and LGBTQ, both very much of those things, this is one of those examples of how the general conversation of being black and LGBTQ is very fucked up in conversation. A lot of people will say that they don't have problems with homosexuality or the gays trademark, but then go on to say some really sick shit. But do you need to understand that homosexuality and rape are two different things? People don't get Men don't rape other men because they're gay. They rape other men because they're rapists. It doesn't matter what someone's sexual orientation or gender identity is when they are a rapist or a child molester. They did it because they took advantage of someone. Where your romantic orientation and where your sexual orientation lie is within realms of consent with other people. Now, I don't know about the Illuminati. I'm not rich and famous enough to care, honestly, whether they exist or not, because they'll never be a thing that has to interfere with my life if they do exist. But what is very real is Lil Wayne's sexual assault. How throughout this documentary, there's valid concerns of Lil Wayne being taken advantage of by higher ups in the rap industry. The forced feminization of black men, especially the ones who are very outspoken and not into that. The sudden career decapitation of Dave Chappelle. And for the record, we didn't believe that. Like, there are a lot of people who may have believed that. I don't doubt that for a second that there are a lot of people who believe that. But I can tell you not everyone believed that. But it was definitely suspicious that Dave Chappelle was on top of the world. And then suddenly he vanished. And then suddenly he went to Africa. That was all very weird. And even though I have my qualms with Dave Chappelle, and I would never pay to go see one of his shows based on some other things that have been said and done, I would not begrudge him his entire career over whatever the fuck happened, as long as it wasn't something that went into a violation of someone else's human rights. But those are like the individual things, right? I would like to talk about the overall issue of how. So a lot of people talk about the forced feminization and rape of slaves, and the rape of how slave masters raped black people in general. Like, this is not a thing about like sex and gender. Rape is rape, and they raped slaves because they were seen as 1/10 or 1/3 or whatever of a person, not a whole person, basically. And the only reason why they were seen as that much of a person is because they could get sick and die. But basically, just as good as work mules, as we already know. And we've seen modern slavery evolve into different types of things. We've seen it prison labor. We've seen how far people are willing to go to launch their careers, which is mostly what this video is talking about. And just things that people have to do to survive. How people are forced into bad situations just to live, when we all know things could be a lot better than what they are, but we live in a system that wants to keep certain people at a certain level. So, as I don't know if I've made this clear, but that video was pretty hard for me to watch, but I watched the whole thing. It was almost an hour. I'd say like 45 minutes. Definitely not easy to digest. But there seems to be, at the same time, while they're talking about forced feminization and rape and sexual assault, they're tying that into LGBTQ representation in cartoons. So, LGBTQ people exist. Some of them are people of color, some of them are black. And if we're going to make this a level playing field for everyone, that means everyone gets representation, including LGBTQ people, including LGBTQ people of color, including black LGBTQ people. So if you're mad about LGBTQ representation, you have a different issue, and it has nothing to do with whatever it is that you're trying to link it to. I deserve representation. I do not want that representation at the cost of someone else's humanity and dignity. I want my representation to be just as consensual as the way I live the rest of my life. And as to why I'm LGBTQ, why do you feel the need to ask? If I were heterosexual and cisgender, you wouldn't ask. So don't ask what I'm LGBTQ. Just respect people for who they are and move on with your life. And there's something that needs to be said about being in the closet. It's 2020. We have been through so much as a fucking species. The closet needs to end. There doesn't need to be any more in the goddamn closet, because there is nothing good about being in the closet at this point. The closet hasn't been safe since the 80s. It only puts you in a position of being blackmailed and being further abused and keeping you oppressed. And I'm saying that as like, maybe I'm saying that from a privileged position. There are a lot of reasons to still be in the closet, like you have to live with your family or whatever. But like if you're out there and you don't have any like real restrictions, just be LGBTQ. Like, I can assure you that you're not going to lose anyone important, and you're not going to miss any opportunities that really wanted you for who you were if they drop you for being LGBTQ. Those were the wrong fucking people. You don't need to be around them. And it doesn't matter if they're your flesh and blood or not. If they're willing to drop you over something like that, you still don't fucking need them. Saying that, assuming that you're in an independent, able-bodied, able-minded position. For those of you who are dependent, hey, that's why we need more people out, so those people can have people to, this is going to sound bad, maybe live vicariously through, I don't know, whatever people do when they're forced to be in the closet due to whatever situation. I've never even been in the closet, so I'm definitely talking out of my house here. But knowing that there are reasons why people do that, but knowing that there are definitely reasons why people shouldn't do that, and people who don't have to be in the closet are in the closet and are really just setting themselves up for failure in their social dynamics, don't do that. But I want to address this because it's the framing of the situation. We definitely need to talk about child molestation, rape, and sexual assault, and being LGBTQ and black, but we definitely don't need to talk about it under the heteronormative, cisnormative lens that continues to use oppressive language against us while saying, oh, I don't have anything against the gays, but like, don't be around me with it or whatever. So, I just want to put that out there. I'm kind of sitting on whether or not I suggest watching the video, because if it was shorter, yeah, but it's 45 minutes. But speaking of minutes, y'all take care of yourselves and each other, and have a great day.